First time submitting something, she won it, ceiling up to $2.4 million.
I mean, it was like a lot of work. And then I'm like, oh, I have to be perfect, which no one's perfect. But I was like, oh no, this has to be perfect. So I got to download this in Adobe. My first time, this is literally my first time submitting and first awards.
My amazing GovCon winners. We have before you, we have a woman that I've been communicating with for like about a year, Talia, with Care Agency, and she's a nurse and recently won a healthcare oriented contract with the VA. She's going to be able to share all about this because healthcare is not my industry, but it should be your industry. So I want to welcome you to the channel. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well. So tell us, like, your formal background is nursing, healthcare. How did you go from that to like government contracting, state level contracting? Where did that leap happen?
Well, I've always liked to help people, and that's why I'm a nurse. And then I've always wanted to work with the VA or in the VA because there's so many veterans out here that don't get enough of like healthcare. Like I take care of them, and then there's just like a little piece of it that's, just lacking. So I was like, well, how can I help? Or how can I get in with the VA to help them help veterans, better yet. So then I was doing some research, and this was during COVID time. So I was like researching, and then, they were like, oh, do the Sam.Gov, there's government contracting. So it took me a little bit because that's me. It takes me a few before I just go jump into something. And I signed up, and then I just started reading through like the SAM and seeing like, oh, there's like this for veterans, mental health for veterans, healthcare for veterans, housing for veterans. It was just like a lot of like help for veterans. And my business is Care Agency, so it has a lot to do with health and mental health because I have a nonprofit that's a mental health. It's called Care Minds. So I kind of just put it all together. So, I do like lab services. We do mental health, of course, and then home health care. And a lot of our veterans are lacking home health care as well. And I worked for a psych facility, and I saw veterans come in there. So I was like, they need more help. They need more people to help them. And then that's when I got the idea to just, go on SAM and just search for veterans to help them because I see them a lot. And I know that they need help because I talk to them all the time at work. And that's why I felt it was just better for me to go with the VA and just focus on VA.
Are you service disabled at all? Are you a veteran?
I'm not, no. I have military people in my family that are military.
This is good to point out. You can go after opportunities at the VA without having a certification because you are a small business. And there may be those watching and thinking like, well, wait a minute, why would they hire you for anything health oriented for veterans? Like, and in labs, like, wouldn't they just go to LabCorp, Quest, or hire some local doctor or hospital?
I mean, yeah, yes and no, just because, I have all of these services in one location, and then I'm able to go mobile. So if they're not able to come out, I actually go to them. And then my hours are a lot later than the traditional LabCorp, the traditional Quest. Like I stay open till 8. And like I said, we're mobile. So we're more convenient.
Which is great. And there's this push for the federal government to work with small businesses and state and local. So this is really key. Whether you're in the medical field or you're not in the medical field, it's just still really cool to know about. So talk to us about this work with the VA, because we would talk a lot through DMs on Facebook. And I know she was always at things. You probably got on my, you probably were like sick of me. Like you're probably like, Kizzy is getting on your nerves, with all of my tough love here. So how did you get this contract with the VA? If you're open to sharing, what was the award? What is it for? Please talk to us about this.
So this award was for housing, and it was for emergency housing for the VA, for veterans. And yes, there are other companies that are housing VAs in the area, but this one was more towards healthcare. So they needed a little bit more like extra loving because of their mental health or their actual health care that the other companies couldn't do, or they just weren't wanting to do because they required a little bit more. So I went after that one because, I do have a nice team behind me who's helping me. So I went after that one because they were like, listen, I think this is something that we can do. Let's just go ahead and try. And I was reluctant at first. I'm like, oh no, I don't know. I don't, that's a bit much. That's the VA. I don't know if that's going to work. They're really specific in who they want and how they want things. And I was like, I don't know. So then I talked myself out of it. And I actually stayed up every night that I came home from work. It was 92 pages of like work that needed to be filled out. I had to read through that a couple times. There's like, you had to go through the OIG. You have to put down for the 5-year, the quantity, the amount. The award was 2.4 million was the most you can go up to. I mean, it was like a lot of work. And then I'm like, oh, I have to be perfect, which no one's perfect. But I was like, oh no, this has to be perfect. So I got to download this in Adobe. I got to make sure everything is like worded out perfectly. And then there was like past performance that they asked for. And I was just like, oh no, I can't do this. When they did the past performance, I was like, absolutely not. I cannot do past performance. I don't know what I'm doing. So then I went back to a conversation that you and I had, and you're like, listen, your past performance you can use as, what you do. And I was like, you know what, she's right. And then the other team was like, you have past performance. Like, we can do this. So that kind of chilled down the anxiety for me on that part. And I was like, you know what, let's do it. So then they did an amendment, and I was like, oh, that was my cue that, you know what, I should just leave it alone because they did an amendment. That means they already have somebody that they want. I'm not even going to go for it anymore. So I left it for a couple days. I was like, I'm not going to do it. And then I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to go ahead. So I went ahead and I submitted it that Sunday morning. It was due Monday, but we submitted it that Sunday morning. The guy, the CEO reached out on Tuesday. He said he was on vacation and he would reach out later that week. And I was like, wow, he responded? Like, I was like, oh my God. So I was like, okay, no problem. And then next thing I knew, it was from him responding out to, okay, we want to meet at the location. Okay, our team is coming out at this time, to, okay, fire marshals already came out, inspected it. It was fine. We accepted all the team that was when you're meeting accepted approval. And we are wanting to start at the middle of October. And I was like, wait a minute, I missed a whole ordeal here. Because I was like, hold on, like everything, I don't remember what happened. Like, it was like a blur for a minute. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't even know what happened. Like, but honestly, it was a really good meeting. Like, the team came out. It was like the nurse came out. We had a diet nutrition that was on Zoom. The assistant to the CEO was there. I mean, it was literally like a team that came out and met. And it was like a bunch of drilling questions. Like, it was one question after another. And I was like, oh, this is really serious. So my face was like, oh, we're serious. No problem. But it wasn't something that I don't take care of in my normal job description anyway. So I was like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. At first, I was a little intimidated because, it was my first time. This is literally my first time submitting and first award. So yes, all those emotions played a part in what was going on. I did not think that it was going to even have an approval. My thing was, I just wanted to submit, just to say I submitted for the year of 2023, and I was happy. So I was already happy just by submitting this RFQ. I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, life is golden at this point. I can do anything. And now it's like, okay, life is golden, but now reality just hit that they just said that they accepted that approval. So I was like, reality hit. And now it's October 2nd, so reality is going to hit again in the middle of the month. So I'm excited. It was very exciting. And I'm excited to take care of them. So, that's my line of work, and the mental health portion, them being sick, that's what I do anyway. So I'm really excited. And hopefully I can just keep going for more.
You're going to definitely go for more. And I just want to highlight a lot of things, because there's a lot of things. And I know people watching, listening, they were like, wait a minute, did she say $2.4 million? Yes, I believe you did. The ceiling,
the award was to go up to 2.4.
Right. The ceiling on the contract is 2.4, meaning they can spend up to $2.4 million. Is it 5 years?
5 years. Mm-hmm.
5 years. And here's the other beautiful thing. Your background, your passion, and you connected the two. The fact that, okay, it's housing, but it's not just, housing, right? There's the medical. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you went after that and you leaned into, okay, the medical, your team, your experience, that's awesome. The other big takeaway is that you didn't allow the past performance to scare you. They just want to make sure that you're not going to be a high risk to them. Because especially an opportunity like this, it's medium to high risk. You had mentioned fire marshal, they did reviews, because the last thing they want is to end up on the news with somebody who's housing veterans in a raggedy house and they're not being treated well. I mean, we've all seen these kind of stories that come out. And so they want to do their due diligence. And so she was able to meet them where they needed to be. Passed that, got the award. So all of these things make sense. And it shows that even though this was her very first opportunity, first time submitting something she wanted, ceiling up to $2.4 million, everybody watching can do the same. I mean, this is amazing. So you start in mid-October, you're super excited about it, and then what? Like, are you going to bid on more work? Are you going to, what is the plan? Because this is awesome.
So I am going to bid on more work. I've actually been attempting to bid on a couple for lab services, but of course they completely canceled that one as of yesterday. So that one's done. There's a couple on my local, that are my state local, that I'm bidding on as well. And then I'm just in Sam again looking for more of what I'm doing right now. So more of the homeless residential services for VA, serving the VA for the veterans is kind of my niche. And that's where I see my niche is going to be. So I kind of want to stay there. There's been a couple little ones that I've seen that I can do just because I offer those services anyway in my business. But my niche really is taking care of veterans, especially the ones with mental health and actually health issues.
And there's tons of opportunities. There's tons of opportunities at the federal level, the state level, and you have a lot of runway for different departments within the VA to get to know you. So then they could potentially set aside work for you. Are you looking into maybe becoming woman-owned at any particular time?
So I did the woman-owned application, and it was some document it said it was missing, and I reached out to them, and life got me by.
It happens.
So I kind of, I guess it lapsed, like it was the deadline. So they said I had to wait 6 months before I applied again. So I had to wait 6 months.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
But not a big deal. I mean, I'm going to do it eventually, but it really wasn't needed for what I did anyway. So I kind of didn't let that disturb me, honestly, to say the truth. During this award time meeting with the VA, I had some health issues and I was actually in the hospital when they were trying to meet during the hurricane. Remember that time in the hurricane down here in Florida, that hurricane that came? So, the team that I have, they were actually able to like jump in and help me and go meet with the VA too. And then I drove home straight from the hospital and sacrifices that I had to make. But yeah.
That's the sacrifices that are...
I sacrificed.
Yeah. And you did. Yeah. I mean, and that's part of life, is if you want a reward, whatever that reward is, you have to make sacrifices. If not, then you're just fighting for excuses.
Yeah.
So the VA effort, is it in Florida or is it somewhere else?
This was in Florida.
Okay. So that's nice.
It's in Tampa. Yeah, it's right here in Tampa. It's in Florida. So at least this first one that I'm doing.
Awesome. And that's another good takeaway, is you were able to find the work in your city. You have all these connections. And so it does happen. It happens all of the time. And for those of you where you're like, hey, I'm open, other people could have been on it too. That's what's beautiful about government contracting. You don't always have to be there to bid on the work. So I love this. I love the great state of Florida. That's my full-time residence. So what would you say, especially to potentially other nurses or those in the medical field, or even those who are like, I want to do something with housing? What could you share with them that you really wish you would have known, and now you're like, man, I've really figured this out?
Well, I would say just, don't look, when you originally look at the RFQ in Sam, don't let that deter you. Because honestly, when it said 92 pages, I was like, oh no, definitely not. Like, we're not doing 92 pages of work, because this is like me doing masters, and I don't want to do any more book work for the rest of my life. So that part got me. So I would say, don't let that, just go read through it, because half of those 92 pages actually was not needed to submit. Out of the 92 pages, it was like 10. So you just got to read. You just got to take your time and read through these RFQs, because there are details in there that's specific that they want. And some of them are just like literally telling you about what they're wanting from you. So, and healthcare is your field, and if that's going to be your niche, then try to stay to your niche for right now on your first ones. And because you'll know that a lot better than just going out there trying anything in any SAM government contract that you want to do. You can't jump from this one to this one to this one. At least just stay with your niche for the very beginning until you understand what you're doing, and then you can move on. I just don't jump from one to the other. I do something that I know that I can do, and I stick to it until I've actually mastered that one for myself.
And that's a great approach because you have the background. And for instance, Steve Dixie, who I interviewed, he did the same thing. His background was HR, staffing, and he ended up winning a very sizable contract with, I think it was North or South Dakota. The same kind of thing. Sometimes it really works out best when you lean into take full advantage of your background, and then you can go from there because you were never really questioned. Like you could pick up a contract or document shredding and nobody would ever question it, as long as you provided what they wanted in the proposal. And so, but it was definitely to your advantage to bid on something in the healthcare field and the passion. Like, I love that. The VA is so fortunate to have you as a vendor. I love that. How can people reach out to you? Because they're going to want to reach out to you.
Well, there's my email, and it's info@careagency.com. And also my business line is 888-899-8665. So there's multiple ways. And that's also a text number, that 888. So I can receive text through that phone number. I made it convenient for everyone. So like I said, my business is basically convenient. It is very convenient. So for my clients that I have on a daily basis, they actually send me text messages. Like, I'm always available. And that's how I wanted it for everyone.
And that's why you're going to continue to succeed, because you made yourself available. You are okay with sacrificing. You understand what's going to happen as a result of that you're getting these, amazing blessings, and it's going to pay off. And most of us text, like, regardless of somebody's age, as long as they can text, they're going to want to text. It's just how we are as a society. Nobody wants to talk to you on the phone.
No, no one wants to talk on the phone anymore. They're more texting. And I actually do receive more texts than we do phone calls, unless it's for like a drug testing that have questions. But other than that, yeah, it's usually via text.
I love that. This is something that comes up every now and again. And, maybe you have some insight. There are people who they're interested in maybe medical career, some kind of courier kind of industry. Again, my background, I'm staffing, I'm services, I'm training and development, got PhD in psychology. So I don't know about medical courier other than like using one for my own health, personal health things. So I would love to know your insight as far as, have you come across those kind of opportunities? If you have, where was it at Florida level? Was it for the government? What have you found as far as a need for medical courier at the state and local government area?
Actually, right now, when I was on SAM last night, there are actually a couple for medical carrier on there, and there's actually some for staffing. And I do have a staffing agency, so I was actually going to print that out today and like read into it. But they're out there. I didn't think they were out there myself. Like, I was like, this is going to be far between. Like, when I thought about SAM, I thought it was just selling like literally like books and selling like other little services. So when I actually was able to like click on the name and like read into it, I'm like, oh, this is what they want. Because even some of the residential, it'll say residential, but if you click on it and look into it, they also ask for janitorial services. And I didn't realize that until like a month ago when I was reading into another residential, and I was like, oh, they want janitorial services as well as blah, blah, blah. So I was like, So just by reading the name, you can't just read the name. You have to literally click on it and read into the actual RFQ.
No, and that's such great advice because it makes sense. If they're paying for some type of housing or lodging, then it's easier to have you, the contractor, provide the cleaning. They're not going to have Cassandra, the GS-10, come to the house or to the facility and clean. And so this is great because then it allows, if you go after those kind of contracts, it allows you then to expand your offerings. So then if you wanted to, you could start bidding on janitorial, you could bid on more and more courier, you could bid on more and more like housing that has nothing to do with medical. if you choose to. And so I always like the ones where there's multiple things wrapped up. So I love that. This is good. And I know all my career people out there will definitely appreciate your answer.
There's actually one out there. It actually is not listed as like a medical carrier. It's actually listed under a lab service. So that's what I'm saying. Like, just because you see, the name, you actually have to start clicking on them because it's actually like hidden in the wording of the RFQ. Like, and I didn't realize that until like a month ago. And I'm like, and I just start clicking on them at this time. Like when it says lab or medical, when it says like residential services, I'll click on it and then read through and even open up the attachments and read through the attachments.
I love that because it does happen all of the time. We won a contract for Oculus headsets and it was categorized as like computer manufacturing. I don't create anything like that. I don't. I can make a dish in the kitchen. So, but that's what they decided to catalog it as. There are other times where we've been on religious positions. Some of them are under admin, some are under religion. I'm not worried about that. It's, can I win the work? Can we do the work? Do we want the work? So take that suggestion that she just shared and open up the documents. Take a look, like looking under lab services. That's such a great gem for those who are interested in career, anything like that. Definitely do that. I love that. So you mentioned staffing. Are you interested in bidding on like the medical assistant, the nursing, the pharmacist in the prison? Okay.
There's a couple of those out there, so I'll probably be digging into that today.
Awesome. Do you have any plans, especially since the application is open, down the road to maybe apply for the 8A set aside?
Honestly, I haven't read into that enough to even say. So I'm gonna have to read into that because as I was on the Facebook group that we're in, I just saw a lot of people like, 8A is back open and such. So I think I'm just gonna do some research on that and read into it to understand it better because I don't know what it is at this point. So I couldn't even tell you.
I didn't know what it was until until about 3-4 years into government contracting. I had no idea until this customer was like, Kizzy, you really need to get in 8A. It would make it so much easier to do work with you because I was always subcontracted. And I was like, what's an 8A? So it allows for sole sourcing. Right now, it's $4.5 million. It's based on the business owner, being deemed socially, economically disadvantaged. There is talks of raising the sole source limit to 8 million and to 10 for manufacturing. So it's beautiful because you're in the program for 9 years. There's a lot of work that's set aside just for the 8A, and a lot of it is like janitorial, staffing, medical. There's a lot that goes along with your area. That's why I bring it up. It's not for everyone. If somebody's pushing publishing things, I wouldn't advocate for getting an 8A. But definitely, when the time is right, look into it because this contract award in and of itself demonstrates that you have the capability to be successful as a business owner, and that's what they're looking for. So I am just so proud and so excited for you because you stuck with it. You could have just been like, whatever, Kizzy, and this government contracting, who cares? And you could have just been like, I don't need to do that. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But you did. I mean, your first one. And I love that despite the doubt, you kept going. Kept going. And that amendment, that was a gift from God. It was like, girl, you better bid on this. And I'm so glad that you did. Because look, I mean, it makes sense. It was so meant to happen. I'm just so proud and so excited for you. This is tremendous to have a $2.4 million ceiling contract, first time out with the VA to help veterans. It's just such an amazing opportunity for you to be a part of. And this is just the beginning. So there's going to be a part 2, 3, 4, and 5 with you. Are you okay with that?
Of course. I'll probably tell you I've won another one or something between that.
Yes. Yes. That's what I know will happen. I'm not worried about that because when you know the field or you have somebody that knows it, right? I'm not worried. I'm not worried about that because she's going to over deliver and change these veterans' life. So I'm so excited. So again, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that you're here with me.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm so happy. And all my amazing GovCon winners, please hit the notification button, hit the like button, subscribe. Check out profitablecontracts.co, and/or profitablecontracts.co/free for a free capability template. And until next time, everything is possible. Take care.